Hello. So I'm sitting here in my 90-degree car to let you know that I may or may not be coming back to YouTube. I say may or may not because maybe after I make this video I'll have another little spiral crisis and I'll never be on camera again. But for now I have semi-convinced myself that I can come onto YouTube and ignore the comments and try really hard to produce content that I would like to see on the internet, because during my weird little interim in the shadow realm, I haven't really seen anybody else making the little Butch videos that I'd like to see. So I'm gonna be coming back probably, I'm gonna say next week, but I say that and then YouTubers, they say next week, and fan fiction writers, they say next week and then they come back in a year, hobbling out of the woods with a new prophecy to share on this website. But as of right now, I will probably be making different content from the content. I hate even saying content, but here we are now, 2023 year, oh Lord, sweating our ass off in this car, talking about producing content. Anyway, so the content will probably be different. It will not so much be focused on me talking about my personal identity stuff. It will be more me reviewing books. Specifically, I would like to start with this book. This book, Bulletproof, Butches by Chea. I think it's Villanueva, but it might also be Villanueva, but this person's also Filipina, so it's probably Villanueva. Who knows? I'm adopted into a white family, so I could not tell you. But I read this solid few, honestly, years ago now. It is a very interesting look on, I don't know, butchers of color way back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. I have a lot of issues with this book. It's not even necessarily like, oh, it's problematic. It's literally just like issues that I see from the past that are spoken about in this little book that I see echoing out today. I think it's very interesting, to say the least, but there's just a lot going on. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not just going to do one video talking about the book in general. I'm going to be doing multiple videos breaking down, because this is short stories. I'm going to be breaking down every short story, talking about, I don't know, the different characters and the different setting, plot, all that fun stuff, but about how it's relevant to butch lesbian of color identity specifically, and how it paints a picture of the past that is still relevant today. So we're gonna see how that goes. I thought this video was gonna go very differently. I was gonna talk about why I left, but I feel like I've already made a million videos about that one. And I don't know. Thought I was gonna talk about the fact that I feel like I shouldn't be making videos because I don't have, fancy editing tools, and there's no fun fart sound effects when I make mistakes, and there's no fancy jump cuts for comedic effect. But I realized that that's probably just not, I don't know, the type of content that I would like to make, and also not the type of video that I grew up watching. Definitely grew up in the weird, I've been on YouTube, looking at stuff on YouTube since 2006, because I'm secretly a dinosaur. If we know Lou, we do know the fact that Lou is 27. I look 15, I know. A lot of people have told me over the years, but I am 27, almost 30, nearly dead in trans person of color years. So, I grew up where YouTube videos were literally just somebody talking to the camera, not much editing, just kind of saying things, hanging out, living their lives. So that's how I like to make videos on my stinky little iPhone 6, if you'll believe it. Yes, I have an iPhone 6. No, I have not updated since junior year of high school. I don't even remember when I got my last phone. But it's fine. It's whatever. And hopefully we can go through this journey together, reviewing this book, even though it literally made me cry at multiple points. And there's literally, I'm gonna try to find it actually for 5 seconds, because the video is only 5 minutes long. There's a poem in here that very specifically says, I'm a real butch, I only like femmes. And the way that I screamed out loud, because I was already kind of getting I don't know. Okay, I found it. I think I found it. This is, sorry, I found it. So it's literally called the Butch poem. If you want to pause there and read it yourself, you can. If not, I'm going to read parts of it, because I feel like if I read the entire thing, I will actually spontaneously combust on camera. and you'll have to witness that, and then we'll all be traumatized, and you know, what are we going to do about it? We're traumatized enough. We don't need to see Lou explode on camera. So it essentially starts with literally, I'm a butch who digs femmes, makes no excuses for being a top, a stone butch, cool butch, slow grinding butch. Sorry, I'm very sorry. I know it's an artifact, it's sacred, whatever, the butch community history, whatever, but like, what the fuck is this? I feel like this would be on Instagram accompanied with one of those weird little like minimalist drawings of just like the whitest butch, you know, possible, just in some sort of hat with the shadow on like their face, just like, you know what it would look like. I don't have to, sorry, I like read this, I feel like my head is about to literally explode. It's fine, this is fine, I'm fine. Oh, here's the part. A butch who doesn't sleep with butches, butch enough to rock a femme all through the night. Make no mistake, I am a butch who loves femmes. Okay, we're not compensating, okay. We aren't gay like that, okay. I love a femme who's all the woman she can be and then some. A femme who sits on my face. Okay, I don't want to read. When you're a jet all the way. From your first cigarette to your last weird, uncomfortable butch femme poem. In case you were looking for a taste or a preview of what this series will be, it was that poem, and it's me reacting to that poem, literally screaming as loud as I can. Even though that is not actually how I scream in real life. It's like a whole scary thing. I'm like, I don't know why, but when people literally scare me, it's like the scariest, deepest scream on the planet, because I'm like 5'4", so I'm like, I have to sound intimidating so I don't get eaten by an apex predator. No! Sorry, okay, so that's the butch poem. It immediately follows up with a poem called Eating Pussy. I wonder what this is going to be about. I like the smell of pussy on my face. Okay, so that's a sample. I promise there's more going on with this book than just this, but I hate that, like, there's, like, the little short story the short story section where it's really deep, and it talks about going to the psych ward for being gender non-conforming, and it talks about, like, having to get kicked out of your house because you're gender non-conforming. Like, it's really, like, a lot. It's very interesting to me. And then you get to the poem section. I think she just got bored, and then she started just doing this shit. And apparently she used to read these poems out loud at poetry readings. And, like, in the descriptions of, like, I've seen of her work and, like, just her, like, person, it's been, like, she used to go to these poetry events, and she'd read these poems out loud, and she'd read her stories out loud, and all the butches of color would go wild, and they'd love it, but then all the white people would be uncomfortable. It's like, bro, I guess I'm white then, because this shit makes me uncomfortable. Like, we gotta, like, yes, talk about your sexuality. I'm very happy for you, not to be, like, policing somebody's, like, sex life or whatever, or art, but I'm like, man, we didn't have to go in like this. Like, there's other ways to talk about eating pussy and just, like, living your life and, like, being a real butch, I guess. But okay, well, okay, so there's that. But then the next poems are like, invisible moon / border cross lovers, tonight I stood like any other night, looking for the moon, searching the sky for the stars we shared. Bitch! The duality of butch lesbians. Please, I'd like to stay in this area, just because I'm like, what kind of weird middle school bullshit is just like, I love pussy. Like, okay, we get it. Like, we understand. I know. Okay, it's fine. We're gonna live. What is this? This is beautiful. Sorry, I'm like kind of mad because now I'm reading, oh, the butch femme dynamic. Hell of a drug. We love to use that for some sort of acceptance in a group that's already an out group, because if you're a butch who likes butches, you're gonna go to hell and not be a real butch and also be gay, and you can't be gay because we're already gay. No double gay, very bad. Poem about titties, about the author. Okay, so I'm gonna be reading that. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna see how that goes. Maybe you'll see me pass away on camera, but what's new? I always do that. It's fine. And it's 10 minutes now, almost, in 5 seconds, so I will talk to you soon, and you will witness my half of a soul leave my little body when I read these stories out loud. I don't think I'm necessarily going to read this like an audiobook or anything. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to read it and then I'm going to bookmark like little quotes and things that I think are important, and I'll give you a summary of the story. I would say you should buy a copy of this book and do a read along with me. The issue is, and I know it's like a whole thing, you can only really get a copy of this book for $50. I don't know how I managed it, but somebody was selling a copy of it on like thrift books for $10, so maybe you could find a copy that's cheaper. Unfortunately, I feel like I could do a whole separate video on like why lesbian work is so rarely published and circulated and why it's essentially dying out from what I can see and what I can tell as somebody who collects lesbian literature. Because people don't value lesbian work, and maybe that's why I made Lemon Lou Press, but then people ruined it by being disgusting to me on the internet to the point that I pulled everything offline and now I'm a hermit. So that's a whole separate story for a separate video, but I'm sure you've already heard it before because, once again, if you're watching this, you've probably seen some of my other content, including my former Instagram. I did make a new one if you want to follow it. I'll link it down in the description. But yeah, no, it's a whole history of lesbian erasure and us not being mainstream. But you know, I read these poems and sometimes I wonder, should we be mainstream? I'm joking. Weird straight people make poems like that all the time and they get semi-validated, so why shouldn't we? Gay rights, baby. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.